What is going on, everyone? How's it going to everyone out there, all of our subscribers, and on to all the people out there that have never seen one of our streams or heard one of our streams before? I'm noticing my vocal level is quite low right now. I'm not sure why. We're going to fix that, though. Check 2 and check. Not sure why it's any different from the last stream because I haven't touched anything. But guys, today's stream is different. Normally, most of our streams, and really our streams here at the AmpSim Universe, and in this, I'm going to explain a little bit who we are and what we do here before really getting into it, explaining the experience that goes behind this beginner's guide. And I want to welcome all the beginners, all the intermediate users, all the weekend warriors, all the old guys. Yeah, if you're an old guy like me, I understand the old guys, the old analog guys that are finally just hearing about this plugin stuff, and they're gonna come in, guys. I usually during this streams I do swear quite a bit. I'm not gonna be straight with you, but today we're gonna try our best not to, because this is for beginners. It's for all audiences. I just want to let you know, if you're choosing to watch the rest of our content, you may hear the odd F-bomb. Nothing gets too crazy. Everything stays fairly respectful. More of like a gear chat between friends, if you will. And I'm just not really liking what the mic is doing today. I'm not really sure what's happening here. The gate is very, very much not wanting to be very, not too happy with me today. This is very strange because normally stuff, it just doesn't, yeah. I mean, it doesn't give me a lot of slack. I don't touch anything. So it's very strange that today it's giving me some slack. So I do apologize for any audio issues we may or may not have today in the stream. Now, today, what are we going to be going over? Well, we're going to be going over from the beginning to the end. This is going to be, when I say a complete guide, folks, I mean, get ready for an hour, 2 hours. This is going to be long. And why is it long? Because I look around and I did my research and I see these beginner guides to AmpSims. And they're all so like flawed in so many ways. What's going on, Pedro? Cody Stokes. We have our chat here as well. So if you're watching this live, feel free to comment and our chat. Someone from our staff here. Yes, we have a staff. We'll get to your comment. And I'm so excited about that. Okay. So we can all remember, by the way, I'm testing out a new playlist royalty free today. And so I can't promise anything about the material. It's going to be very much in the background today. So just we're trying royalty free because I wouldn't mind seeing what this can do for views. Because if there's one thing out there that beginners need, it's help, real help. You know what I mean? I saw one video that I thought, oh, this is going well. And then it was all just a big scheme for someone to sell their AmpSim, to sell the plugin they were peddling, which is by all means not a great plugin either. So anyhow, it doesn't really matter which guitar you use with an AmpSim, but we're going to talk about what that guitar needs to be armed with. We're going to talk about how that guitar needs to be set up. We're going to get to that in our DI signal portion. This is going to be a very beginner-friendly stream. It's going to be long. And if you have comments after the fact, please comment. If you have questions, beginners, please feel free to ask questions after the fact in the comments. We will answer them for you. Okay? Now, again, not sure what we're listening to today. This is going to be our playlist, the royalty-free metal playlist on Spotify. I just want to know that it's going to be royalty free. Well, let's see if it actually is. I swear, if I get one of those things, copyright, I may occasionally skip a song just to see what we're doing. All right. So the first thing we're going to go over today is who are we and why do we here have any right to make any kind of a tutorial list? I've seen tutorials made by people that have literally been using AMP Sims for what has seemed like about 6 months. I'm sorry, but if you've been doing anything for 6 months, I don't care what it is you're doing for 6 months. If all you've been doing it for, if as long as you've been doing it for 6 months, you can't make a tutorial yet. You can't make a tutorial on anything in 6 months. I'd say you've got to have 1,000 hours at something before you can make a tutorial. Keep that in mind, 1,000 hours. 1,000 hours. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me the world is not full of tutorials being made by people that are not qualified. Anyways, getting to what qualifies us here, the AMSim universe. I myself, hi, my name is Tyler. I'm sort of the team lead here. I have been working in the AMSim industry for almost 15 years now. I've started from scratch. I have had to start from scratch multiple times with multiple different techs and multiple different DAWs and all types of different things. I have taught at this point hundreds, and I mean hundreds of users in my career in the AMSim. It's a hobby career. Let's not make it seem like it's my whole career. It's my hobby career. Hobby being the emphasis on career here. And in all that time, I've taught a lot of people how to use AMP Sims from scratch. And I'm telling you right now, it's not as hard as you think. I'm just going to be tinkering with my volume here a little bit, making sure that my voice sounds good. Pedro, how's it going, everybody? We do, like I said, we do have people in here right now. If you are a beginner, okay, feel free to ask questions. If you're not a beginner and you're just here lurking and you're just here hanging out, feel free to share some of your stories of how you hit a learning curve when you first started. How did you get through the learning curve? Share some stories about being a beginner. What are some of the products you reached for when you were a beginner? What were your first products? In this case, we're going to show you around the products in the AMPSim industry as well. But again, what qualifies us here is we have a large team of roughly 10 to 12 individuals here that are all very experienced, but we all have one thing in common. We all started from scratch. At some point in time, for me, it was many years ago, but since then, I've also had to learn how to use different types of plugins, different features. I've also learned how AMP Sims are made from scratch. And I hold several different jobs in the AMP Sim industry, from artist relations to product design to marketing to beta team management and all things in the AMP Sim industry. I've touched everything except for coding and programming. So here I am, and I've also researched a lot of these beginner videos, and I see a lot of flaws in a lot of them, and people that are sort of sweeping some things under the rug, not telling you certain things, not wanting to be fully honest about the industry. And today we're going to get very honest and very in-depth for beginners. We want to teach you guys from scratch so that you guys, after this video, we want to try to nuke that learning curve for you, okay? So in this video, to start with, what do you need if you're starting from scratch? What do you need to get started? What's going on? Rudy, how are you, sir? Yours was positive grid. Don't worry. We're going to get to positive grid, my friend. It's going to be sort of a key portion of things we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. And that was, we're going to call gateway products. And we're going to make sure that your gateway products that you select hook you in instead of leave you going, that's it. Okay. Don't worry. We're going to get there. What do you need to get started? Well, it's very simple. What you need to get started is an interface. Check. When I say interface, now there are so many different options for audio interfaces. It really depends on what you intend to do. Do you intend to try to record like more than one instrument? Then you'll need more than one input. I have 2 inputs. It's all I've ever needed. It's all I could ever need. There was only one point in time during COVID where we were trying to do something where I might have needed an extra input, but we didn't end up doing it anyway. So 2 is all I've ever needed. Most creators and content creators and streamers only have two inputs. in their interface. I am using a PreSonus interface. It's a company that, for me, I'm not a shill. I'm not being paid by the company in any way. I've been loyal to their products for a very long time because they're reliable. They've got great support. Nothing has ever really gone wrong for me with these products. And I've just continued to purchase, and then I'm actually about to upgrade. So my next upgrade will also be PreSonus. That being said, I don't have brand loyalty necessarily in completion that I'm only going to recommend rather that one brand to you. There are a lot of different options out there for audio interfaces, and finding one that meets your budget that's got good reviews. The Focusrite Scarlett series is also very affordable, very, very solid. There's a lot of, and if you don't even ever want to record a microphone, you don't even need 2 inputs. All you need is one. All I want to do is play guitar, man. Leave me alone. Okay, you don't want anything more than 1 input, you got it. There's plenty out there. Lots of these things called iRigs and a number of other single input interfaces that you can use to communicate between your guitar. You plug your guitar in, then you take the cable, and where you would normally plug in an amp, you're going to plug it into your interface. That's like you're plugging into your amp, because that is now effectively the input to your amp. So you're going to plug into your interface. You're going to take the interface, you're going to plug it into the appropriate port in your computer. Another thing you're going to need is a computer. Now, one thing you're definitely going to need is a computer that can handle a little bit of heavy lifting. It doesn't need to be a crazy gaming machine. Although if you're recording, like if you're looking to record full albums, it's nice to have something that can handle, something to that level. So it's nice to spend a little bit of money, but you don't have to. If all you're looking to do is use amp sims and such, you can probably find a number of different machines that will suit your needs, including plenty of laptops that'll work just fine. You're not going to get away with using your mom's 10-year-old MacBook Air or your wife's 10-year-old MacBook Air. That's not going to fly. You're not going to be able to use your Chromebook from work. That's not going to work. You're going to want to get something that actually handle a bit of heavy lifting. Now, every plugin you're going to purchase or download for free, and you're like, free? Yes, we'll get to that. Everything that you download for free, every single thing, every single plugin you purchase will have what is called the minimum operating specs, meaning the minimum of what you're going to need in a computer to make that plugin do as it's supposed to do. I had to upgrade my machine about 2 years ago now, because the old one was just not doing anything for me that I wanted it to do. So going with something, if you're intending on recording full songs in a DAW, and the digital audio workstation, we're going to get to exactly what that is. But if you're intending on wanting to compose your own full songs, use digital drums and everything else, then you might want to consider getting a computer that can at least handle a little bit of oomph. Okay. As for what you spend, that really depends on you. I would try to buy new as opposed to refurbished or significantly used. You want to try to buy new if you can. Try to shop sales. There's sales everywhere. Amazon, your local Best Buys. There are sales everywhere for laptops. Again, just make sure what you're buying is going to be effective. Research that. I'm not going to go over computer specs today. Okay. So these, now what you're going to need upon top of that is a way to hear it. Now there's a couple ways to go with this. You can go with studio monitors and or headphones. I would suggest a open back set of headphones. I wouldn't suggest just going with your average, your average earbuds. You're going to want something that's got more of a full range to it. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but there are things that I'm going to suggest out of the blocks that you avoid. Everybody and their sister can go on YouTube and just watch even a handful of videos and see that in a lot of these videos, you'll see, let's just call it I'm just going to say it out loud, KRK monitors. You will see the cheapest because it was hyped for a really long time, and a lot of people went out and bought the lowest quality monitors that they could possibly purchase just because it had these yellow rings. They were very hyped. Essentially, these are kind of like plastic and spray foam, though. I mean, you want something that's a little bit more elaborate. Why? We're going to get into why really quickly. Now imagine this is your frequency spectrum. Okay, it's a line. Now, a full line, you want something that represents a full range. And I'll explain why. And we're getting a little bit detailed here, but there's a reason. Follow me on this one. As mentioned, this is going to be in depth, so follow me if you can. When you buy cheaper monitors and cheaper headphones, when I say cheap, I mean like really bargain basement cheap, the lowest end. Essentially what these do is they round off low frequencies and high frequencies that are really important to represent the quality of plugins and the music you're making. And certain frequencies you're not even going to be able to hear properly with these monitors and these particular headphones. Pardon me. So essentially, if you're going to really cheap out on the headphones and the monitors, it won't matter how nice your guitar is, how great the amp sims are that you buy. It won't matter because you're not going to be able to hear it because this will be cutting out so much of the range. Okay, so I suggest when it comes to studio monitors, you want to make sure that you spend a little bit of money on something that is at least going to give you close to a full range. Something like the Adam Audio T7V or the Yamaha HS7. Now, these are cost-effective, but yet still high-quality monitors that will give you a full range and for a price that's not going to break the bank overly. If you can't afford monitors yet and want to go just with headphones, I would suggest something like these. I honestly don't recall the model name at this point in time, but there are plenty of open back headphones in like the $200 to $300 range that are going to give you a full range. Now, again, if you're going to go and, just use your average gaming headphones, I got a set of gaming headphones, bro, I'll be fine. Probably not going to get you by. So you're going to want something that's a little bit more a full range and something that's going to be able to kind of give you everything you're actually hearing. Okay. Let me go through the comments. I'm going to try to do that a little minimally today so that we can make sure that we keep this nice and smooth. Okay. Again, any questions, please do ask in the comments during the chat. If you're live here with us, if you're not, please do ask in the comments after the fact. Just be respectful and someone will get back to you. I would say, let's give it 7 days. Okay. Because we're not always, again, hobby job. And that kind of falls way down the priority list sometimes. I'm not trying to say the comments don't matter, but checking them and responding them, I only tend to do it a couple of times a week. Okay. Pause the grid. Leaving reason for Reaper. Okay. Reaper. Again, we're going to get into what a DAW is. That is something you might need. So let's talk about DAW as a need. Okay. Now, a lot of people get into plugins and they operate with what are called standalone standalone plugins. And the standalone plugin will just open in your desktop and operate right through your, you'll be able to hear them through your headphones, through your monitors that you have hooked up. Okay. Again, if you decide to go and use like a type of speaker that's maybe not meant for this type of work, you're going to kind of shoot yourself in the foot a little bit. Okay. So with a DAW, however, with a standalone, you don't have a lot of flexibility with the standalone plugin. It's just, you're going to use that plugin as it is. You're not gonna be able to add much to it or do much with it. It's just, you're just gonna be able to just play with it as is, which is fine. But I really do suggest never becoming dependent on a standalone. There's a lot of people that have become really dependent on standalones because they don't want the hassle and the learning curve of having to use a DAW. And it's really not that hard. I'm using Reaper and I'm not here to teach you about using Reaper. I'm just here to teach you about what a DAW is for a second. So this is a digital audio workstation. What this allows you to do, and you see all these plugins in this list, don't let that scare you, because only 2 of these plugins and now 3 of these plugins are active. It's just a list that I have. It's essentially like having a big, long pedal board and then having all the pedals off. Okay, because these are mostly pedals, and I've got various examples of free and paid software that you guys are going to want to look at, and different types of amp sims that we're going to go over throughout this stream. Okay, so this is a DAW, and what this allows you to do is you're going to basically just fire open a track, and it'll let you open track, create track, open track. You pick the DAW of your choice. Reaper is free to get started with, although I do suggest buying a personal license later for about $60. There are a lot of different DAWs out there, a lot of different options. A lot of people might try to swing you one way or another. I'm not trying to swing you towards Reaper. You might like Ableton. You might like Cubase. You might like Pro Tools. Look into all the different DAWs, but eventually you're going to settle with one. And oftentimes people settle with the first one they learn how to use, and that's fine. For me anyways, I really enjoy using Reaper, always have, but I started with actually Cool Edit, and I moved into Cubase and eventually found my way to Reaper, which I have been here since. And any problems I've had I've had a lot of help from the community to deal with and learn my way around. So I do suggest getting started with something free like Reaper, but keep in mind, they're going to remind you a lot. It's not free. It's free to try it, and it's unrestricted, but we want you to pay for it, okay? And I do suggest paying for it because these guys put a lot of hard work into it, and I do suggest paying if you can. Okay, so you're going to need a DAW. You're going to fire open a track. You're going to throw your plugin on that track. It's really simple. I'm going to open a secondary track right here, like this, and I'm going to close this one for a second. This is my brand new track. I'm just going to open my random plugins, open my inserts rather, and I'm just going to insert this Vitar Amps Blades. And here it is. And then you build your signal chain from there. Top to bottom is essentially left to right if you're used to looking at an analog signal chain. Top to bottom, the top of your signal chain is the start of your signal chain. Imagine your cord goes in the top, and the end of your signal chain is essentially the end of your signal chain. It's like the back of your amp, if you will. Okay, so I don't need this. I was just going to show you guys how to easily do that. That's pretty much going to travel with every DAW from DAW to DAW. With my travel, I use Scarlett. I first started, I was using Rocksmith USB cable. Nice. It honestly worked great. Yeah, man, it did. I know plenty of people that did that just fine. We're going to get into drum libraries later in the stream for sure. Yamaha HS, JBL 305, solid enough. Yes. There are a lot of entry-level monitors, but I would suggest steering away from entry-level anything and go straight to the intermediate, because that entry-level stuff is going to be cheaper. Yep, sure it is. But if you go to find a good deal on something, like even you can look for used monitors for sure. And there's a lot of reliable places to buy used studio monitors. Used HS7s will probably run you I'm not sure what they're worth anymore, but eBay, reverb.com, you'll be able to look for used studio monitors. I wouldn't suggest used headphones though, but used studio monitors, absolutely no problem to find. Okay, but I would not suggest buying entry level, beginner level anything if you really care about how things sound. And if you would, a lot of people I know, that, including myself, that have purchased this entry level stuff, oftentimes the same exact thing happens. You get into what you're doing and you grow out of them really fast, and you have an impossible time selling them because there's so many other people trying to sell them right now. You know what I mean? This is not metal. There's so many other people that are in the same boat as you that are like, man, I grew out of these really fast. I'm going to try to sell them for even half of what I paid for them, and end up selling them for a quarter of what I paid for them because 200 other people are trying to sell them at the same time. So go straight for the gut and go intermediate straight up, and go with something like instead of entry level, go with something like a Yamaha HS or an Atom Audio T7V. These are really good monitors. I would say you're going to spend around $500. Between $350 and $500 will probably get you something pretty decent. And you'll be able to kind of start in style where you're hearing the full range. I didn't have the chance to do that in my amp sim journey. I had the opportunity to get started with really, really low-end monitors that were actually made by somebody local here. And then I got my first set of really good monitors. And it was like, I literally, guys, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it or try to say I'm a tough guy. I got tears in my eyes. I was hearing parts of songs that I'd never heard before because I was finally hearing a full audible range of frequencies. And it's amazing. You'll hear cymbals in songs you've never heard before. Songs I've been listening to for 25 years. So getting something that's got a full range will also allow you to see the full quality in the amp sims you're purchasing, as opposed to rounding off that quality along with the frequency spectrum, okay? So we're doing a lot of talking before we're going to get into playing here. Much like learning anything, though, think about just about learning anything. A lot of times you're standing in a field talking or sitting in a room learning. And I know that's kind of boring. So maybe occasionally we can throw a little strumski in here. We're there. We're almost there. We're not actually. We're going to be talking some more. And maybe I'll try to put a divide in the video where like we actually start like playing. But nonetheless, this is all very, very much essential stuff when you're starting to learn amp sims. And a lot of it's going to be essential. Some of this, in fact, this next part, one of these next parts is going to be really essential for any gear that you're using. Okay. So we're going to talk about what an amp sim is and what is an impulse response very briefly. That's really boring stuff. Amp sim, essentially, somebody has modeled a particular piece of gear, a particular analog circuit in one way or another. And there are many different ways that are being, that developers are coming up with to model this stuff accurately. And some of them are doing it much more accurately than others. And every developer seems to have their own way of fully modeling a piece of analog gear. Okay. And I'm going to turn this up just a little bit more because I'm just still trying to recover my good vocal sound from before I messed with everything with the deoxit incident. All right. Okay. So an amp sim essentially is someone has taken a piece of gear, as mentioned, or a pedal. We're also talking about pedal plugins. We've got one right here. Here's a tube screamer. And here's another tube screamer. And here's a Proco Rat. And here's a couple of homebrew pedals. And we'll get to Franken pedals and Franken amps possibly a little bit later in the stream or in another stream. We'll talk about that a little bit. Things that are kind of almost only possible, and people are only capable of doing in the digital realm. Things that in the analog world electronically and the whole possibilities of electricity don't always necessarily apply. So you can do things like cutting amps in half and using the power section of one and the preamp section of another and just mismatching everything. Things you maybe couldn't do in the analog world, which makes amp sims very much unique. So it's same thing with pedals. You can create your own homebrew stuff that's pretty darn cool. Okay. Now, what is an impulse response? Well, essentially an impulse response is we'll call it a picture. Okay. Imagine someone takes a photo of a microphone, a particular microphone in a particular position at a particular distance with a specific speaker and cabinet. Imagine taking a picture of that. That is essentially what you're doing when you're doing an impulse response. You're doing a picture. You're taking a picture of a particular piece of gear. A signal chain that starts at the microphone, kind of at the microphone. Okay. So essentially impulse, when you hear impulse response, or IR, as most of us will say, that basically just means digital cabinet that's mic'd up. Okay. There are lots of these that exist, loads and loads and loads and loads of digital cabinets out there, folks, tons of them. And we're going to go into how to use those shortly, actually. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep on going. Let me get through the comments here a little bit. Yes, it also depends on the space involved. That's one thing I will get to because I saw the comment. I intended to get to that a bit later. But a lot of people look at it and say, why am I using amp sims? Why start using amp sims? If I'm an analog guy and I have no use for amp sims whatsoever, I got no use for them. Or do you? So you're telling me you've got no use for a method to silently play guitar and have it sound super loud and potentially keep you more creative at an hour or a time or in a place that you would not be able to fire up your analog gear. I'm just telling you, when people say I want to get you into amp sims, what I don't mean that I want you to stop using analog altogether. It's not analog or digital. It's not analog versus digital. It's 2025, folks. We got to get out of that mindset. It's analog plus digital. That's what it is. It's analog plus digital. How can I use both of these things to sound good, stay creative, stay inspired, stay productive as well? Productivity, okay? Let's be honest. We're all in scenarios these days where many of us are working 5-6 jobs to stay afloat. When do you have time to enjoy a little guitar? Well, you could go to work. I know a guy that will go to his place of employment with a small laptop, his guitar, and a set of headphones. And on his lunch, he goes to the nearby park, sits on a bench, plays guitar. Just listens and just plays guitar with headphones on. That's all. He doesn't play acoustic, sits there and plays electric guitar, comes back to work. You could do that. Can you do that with an analog amp without getting people potentially throwing money at you? I mean, I'm not going to say no to if someone throws $1 at me, I guess, but that's the wrong impression. If I'm playing guitar on a bench, I'm not busking. You know what I mean? So it's either just about 1,000 different ways I can tell you that. Oh, wow. I just saw a wood chipper drive by, and half of my life these days is talking about and thinking about wood chippers. With regard to another hobby that I have, which is disc golf and disc golf course design. So sorry for the rubber neck out the window. All right. So basically we're moving through what it is that we need to get, like everything you need to know to get started before you jump in, before you get started. We're going to try to give that all to you so that you're able to jump in and know what you're doing. Everything you need to know. We're going to try to, as mentioned, nuke that learning curve. And the learning curve that almost made me want to quit. And a learning curve that I've seen a few different people actually stop using amp sims for at least a short to forever amount of time. I know one guy that was like, this is way too much of a pain in my rear end. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm just going to go plug into my amp, man. I don't want to deal with this. This is silly. Because, you know, when you have the muscle memory of something you've been doing for 30 years or 40 years or even 15 or even 5 years of just walking over, plugging your amp in, turning it on and playing. That's all you have to do. And it might seem like this is a big journey. Like there's so many steps. Geez, this is such a pain. Really, it's just firing up your DAW, opening your preset track, and you're ready to rock. That's all I do when I'm streaming. I open my stream. What do you want to call it? Sorry, stream project, and we're good to go. Okay, so that's super easy. Now, what is your level of experience going in? This is another thing that's very important. If you are an analog guru and you've been around a lot of analog amps in your lifetime, and you've been around a lot of cabinets in your lifetime, you're going to walk in. You might be thinking it's going to be super easy. It might be for you depending on your level of patience. Now, I'm going to tell you, though, you have kind of a leg up in a sense that you know what should sound like what. And you're going to have high expectations because you have a lot of love for analog gear. And if you're going in, you're going to have that experience is going to be helpful. And it's also going to be maybe a bit of a hindrance because of that aforementioned muscle memory where it's so easy to just plug your favorite amp in, flip it on, and start feeling that air moving. Okay? Yes, it's super easy. But your level of experience is, if it's nil, you're still okay because you're just going to go into it completely blind, and what sounds like what is fine. And if you're looking to see if something sounds authentic or not, it's easy enough to, I'm using a plugin that's supposedly based on this amp that I've never heard of. Well, I'm going to go and listen to some clips in the search bar that's just right up there. And then you can figure that out pretty quick. You don't have to have hands-on experience anymore. Even just having the search bar up there and looking for the best and worst looking demos that you can find on that particular piece of gear are going to help you out into how it's really supposed to sound. So you can decide, is this particular plugin good or not good? Okay, that's going to help you out. Now we're going to get to DI signals. DI signal is going to be a big portion of this. I want to make sure everyone understands that how important your DI signal is. Gain staging also is very, very important. I'm not going to get into gain staging because there are about 50 videos that are available up here that explain gain staging way better than I can. If someone has one of those videos in their mind, you can't link it. Obviously, they're not allowing links, but you can type it in who is the creator and what is the video title. If you want to leave a video, there are a lot of people that explain gain staging really well and how important it is when it comes to getting a proper tone out of your analog or your digital gear. Now, when it comes to DI signal, I would say that with plugins, it's even more crucial that your direct input, your direct signal is as clean and as good as it can be. Now, setting your input volume through your interface is obviously one thing you're going to have to learn how to do. You have to make sure now right here, I'm in you see the bar there under guitar. Let's go to the screen. You can see on the bar there, I'm okay. But if I was down here, sure, you can still hear it, and I could still make it sound like kind of distorted and stuff. But I'd be sitting here going, man, I thought this thing was supposed to give me a lot of distortion. I don't hear any distortion. This is a bummer. Sounds like dad rock. I don't want it. But really all that's actually happening here is the input level is low. So I'm going to turn up the input level and you're going to see what will happen. Yeah, I was still playing dad rock so soon, but still, guys, that is kind of, you're going to want to get your input signal. That's going to be just a very small portion of your direct signal. Now, I'm going to tell you, we're going to go through a very, very in-depth, but quick. I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can when it comes to your direct signal, your DI, okay? Everything from your pick all the way into your interface is going to impact your DI signal. That means your pick, your picking, where's your hand? Where's your hand over here? Are you muting? Your picking is very important when it comes to your direct signal, because if your picking is messy, then your direct signal is messy, and as a result, everything is messy, especially if you're playing with high gain. So in this case, everything from the pick all the way in. So we're going to be thinking about that as we go here. So I'm going to make sure your picking is clean. Make sure your hands are clean. And I always say this, wash your hands with dish soap. And why dish soap? Because dish soap has degreasers, whereas regular hand soaps often have lotions and oils and stuff in them to replenish the moisture in your hands. Where does that moisture go? Right into your strings. What does that do? It destroys your DI signal. Destroys it. You will take, even if you were to put lotion on your hands and let it wear off for like an hour and till your hands don't even feel like silky smooth anymore, you run your hand on the guitar a few times on a brand new set of strings, those are instantly 20% to 25% less vibrant. That's it. Wash your hands with something that's got a bit of like a degreaser or something in it, or maybe even a little bit of grit if you want like nice dry hands when you're playing the guitar. That's a big thing, believe it or not. String age is a big deal. If you're just recording something like for a demo or whatever, like, just half new strings are fine, or even like, we'll call them halfway strings that still sound bright, but you can tell that they are on their way out. Those are fine for demos and stuff. But when it comes to recording something you care about, put new strings on, stretch them out neatly. And by the way, there's a string stretch I see people do from time to time where they will pull the string up with their right hand and run their fretting hand all the way up. Why are you doing this? You just deposited all your finger oils right into that string. So be careful how everything. You want to be careful. You want your string age to be solid. Okay? Trust me, it sounds almost over dramatic. But you'll notice that if you wash your hands, even if you get up, put your guitar down with clean hands and get up and walk over and do something in the kitchen, wash your hands. Wash your hands. I'm telling you right now. And it's not a germaphobe thing. It's got nothing to do with germs. It's got string life. You want that, okay? Now, we're also talking about the setup of your guitar. Is the action too high? Well, that's going to hurt your DI signal. Is your neck bowing or pulling? That's going to hurt your DI signal. How? Well, you're going to get buzzing frets all over the place in weird areas. Don't want that. That's your DI signal. You want to treat it. You want that DI signal to be as pristine as possible. Now we're making our way back. Okay. Pickups, pickup height. These two things are crucial. Are the pickups in your guitar premium pickups? Are they just simply, the Duncan designed, or are they aftermarket, or are they the really, really low quality pickups? If you're using a very low quality pickup, the materials and the design of that pickup and the quality control are instantly cutting your DI signal by a considerable margin, because we're getting into that factor with the frequency rounding again. Okay? Only with pickups, it's different. With pickups, the lows are now that are supposed to be punchy and are supposed to pump your tone. Those are now muddy and riddled with just garbage. You'll hear it and you're like, why can't I get the thump and whoomp? It could be because of your pickups. Okay. Also on the high end, what is supposed to be that nice sheeny like edge, that with that nice sheen to it, you hear that that nice crunch, and you hear that high end. Hear that sheen on the end? That chiminess on the end. I love that. I love the sheen or the chime of a nice open chord in the high end. That, with a lower quality set of pickups, is going to become really ice picky. It's going to be like ice picky and pokey. And eventually what you're going to have to do is start learning of ways you're going to have to look up YouTube videos. How do I handle the muddy low end? How do I handle the ice picky top end in my recording? If you decide to record your own music, you're going to be looking into things like that. Why not avoid it altogether? Save yourself some time and go to an aftermarket set of pickups to make sure your DI signal is as pristine as you can make it. New pickups don't always cost a lot of money. We're going to get to that. Actually, we've gotten to that in several other episodes. So please do look through our other episodes and look through and find the episodes. We talk about pickups a lot and why they are crucial. Not just having good quality pickups, but having the right pickups for the type of tone you're after. If you're after a country tone, a humbucker's not going to get you there. If you're after an extreme metal tone, a single coil's not going to get you there. You know, there are certain pickups that are just not designed to do certain things. Some that are, some that are not, and some that kind of like to float in the middle as a bit of a Swiss Army knife. So we can talk about that another time, but the point is your pickups need to be solid and the height needs to be right. If your heights, I have a friend of mine, there are passive and active pickups. One needs a battery, one does not. I had a friend of mine who was setting one up like the other, and his tone was, he's like, I can't get this to sound good. Well, it's because he had the pickups way too close to the strings based on something he did with another set. It can be very confusing, but we'll get you there, okay? But what you need to know for now, for your DI signal, is that your pickups need to be at least of decent quality, okay? Pardon me. Hey, Brain Dead, what's going on? Rudy? Wash your hands, you filthy Vikings. I bought those kits for travel and they actually sound really killer. Okay, well, I want to be clear about what I said about KRK. I just use them as an example. There are several entry-level monitors that kind of go around as hyped. And most of the time, they're being hyped by people that have never tried a nicer or a higher-end set of monitors. In your case, you have them for travel. That's a bit of a different story. For travel, you can just use what you can use because they're built for travel and just hearing things properly as best you can. If it comes to your full-on studio setup, there's two things about monitors that I want you to be careful with. Remember, monitors need to be aligned. You cannot just park them on your desk like you do a set of stereo speakers. They need to be aligned properly. And so that when you're sitting, you're sort of in a triangle, sort of like the cone of silence. I'm not here to teach you about how to align and phase your studio monitors. That's for some other guy in the search bar up there. Because believe me, there are a lot of videos on it, a few that I found very, very helpful. You're going to need this little app on your phone to make sure that it's going to be a bit of a process, but trust me, it's not that hard. And once you get it right, you'll find things sound way better. As far as those KRKs, I wasn't just dropping on that company. I just dropped on that company because it was the easiest company. You look at the videos, you see the yellow rings, you say that guy his mixes sound good. He must be using those. So I'm going to get those too. And that might be true. Maybe the mixes sound good. Some of their models, I also want to point out that KRK, I'm pointing out that the Rockets are the ones I'm talking about. They do have higher end monitors that sound terrific. I'm talking about the lowest of the low end KRKs that I would suggest that to avoid those. Try to get a set of monitors or headphones that have a pretty good full range of frequencies. Now, that being said, there's the upper and lower tier when it comes to studio monitors. So if you look up high-end studio monitors and you see numbers like $5,000, you went too far down the rabbit hole. It's almost like I've seen those too, and it's almost like looking up like the private jet on my phone. Like I get really bored and look up the private jet for my needs, like Tom Segura. I'm not trying to find the nine bedroom mansion that can fit all of my needs in my price range. Just for funskies, you know? That's what it's like for me. All right, we're continuing on. We're going to get to guitar pretty soon. Okay. DI signal, we went through it. Strings, crispy strings, folks. If you're looking to do a really good, solid sounding recording, crispy strings are good. Nothing dead. Okay, nothing dead, because why? If you use dead strings when you record stuff, again, you're just rounding off those frequencies. And more importantly, when there's a lot of crap on your strings, you're rounding off the resonance. Strings are made to vibrate, and when there's lots more stuff on your strings, the strings don't vibrate as good. Can we agree? All right. So when the string is trying to do this and there's all kinds of gunk on it and it's just struggling. So we're going to make sure that these are as clean as possible. And you know what? You want to play guitar with dirty hands all day? Have a dirty hands guitar. I have a Couch Electric. It's not the greatest, and I don't usually do anything. I just have it set up to play really nice. I don't play it even plugged in. It doesn't have nice pickups, and I just use it to play on the couch so that I don't constantly kill the strings on the guitars that I stream with you for you guys. That's kind of the way I like to do things. And you can find one of those beaters on your local marketplace, and you can set anything up to almost anything. Set almost anything up to play really nice. So I don't care if you have a Squier. A lot of people have Squiers. There's some really nice Squiers. If you have a Squier or a really low-end guitar, that's fine. Just replace the pickup. If that guitar is like your forever guitar, and you're going to have it forever, you can't see yourself really ever upgrading, just upgrade the pickup. Save what you can. Don't buy some plugins for a bit. Upgrade the pickup the best you can. And I can promise you'll get, and then learn how to set your, again, right up here. We have this infinite wealth of free knowledge right here in the search bar. How to set your guitar up, how to do your truss rod, how to do your string, how to do everything is right up here. Okay? So you can do that. Now we're going to get on to where to get started. And now we can start playing the guitar. We've got our interface. We're all plugged in. We're ready to go. We've got our headphones. We've got everything happening. Now we're going to start our signal chain. And the first amp sim I'm going to suggest that everyone go out and get. The very first one is this one right here. This guy right here. I'm actually going to close just so nothing is confusing to anyone. I am going to fire this up all on its own. There's no window with anything there to tell anybody anything else. We're going to start here with the most simplistic of amp sims. It's free. This thing is 100% free, and this thing can do a lot of different things. Sometimes it needs a little help. We're going to show you what that means, and I'm going to show you how this amp sim can be your forever amp sim. Really, you don't need to buy a darn thing for a good while. In fact, I'm going to ask that you don't. If you're a beginner and you're just getting into amp sims, don't buy a thing. I don't care if the guy at work said Neural DSP has these things, bro. You gotta try them, bro. You'll get there. Tell him you'll get there. Okay? You don't want to jump up a couple steps. Let's learn slowly so that when you get there, you can really take full advantage of everything that plugin is giving you. I'm not saying that Neural DSP is not amazing, because they are. And we're going to talk about some of the best companies later and plugins that you should probably avoid. But this one right here should be in the first 3. We're going to show you the first 3 that you should go get. And this one is the first one. It's very simple. It has the cabinet section built right in. See this button right here, Cab Sim. You turn it off, it sounds a little like this. You hear that sizzle? There's like a sizzle to it, like a hiss. Sounds like I'm playing a guitar through the phone. That means there's no impulse response in the chain. You always got to make sure, and if you're ever trying to struggle with this, and this was a struggle I had initially, was learning about impulse responses. Buddy, I'm used to just parking my cabinet, my head on top of the cabinet, plugging the things in and going. I don't want to, what is this? What is the story here? This makes it real easy. This comes in default with the Cab Sim off. You're going to want to turn it on, okay? Now, we're going to kind of steer today. Tone-wise, we're going to stay in the middle of the road. We're going to try to stay with that rock to hard rock vibe. We're not going to get too shreddy or too crushing today, although my forte is metal for the most of the time. This is a great starter tone. Now, what am I using here? A free amp sim with nothing else. This is a single plugin on a single track. I have a denoiser going, but that's for the noise in my environment and created by my lighting and such. This is a bit different. This is the only thing I have in my tone, and we haven't even touched the controls yet, really. We crank the gain up. That's it. So let's get a little bit of top end, get a little bottom end, and let's scoop the middle out a tiny bit and see what we got now. And by the way, today I'm playing my Meinzinger Tempest. Please do check out Meinzinger guitars. One of the sickest custom guitar companies on the planet. Small company, but doing great things. Please do even just hop on their social media. You can find the links all over the page here. Please do check out their social media, the website, Instagram, man. Daryl at Meinzinger has a terrific Instagram. You got to see it. You got to see some of the things this guy does with wood. And I'm not using this as an opportunity, even though I'm wearing the shirt and everything else. But check out the back of this neck. I always like to show, when you talk about this guitar, if you don't show people the back of this neck, you're really not doing it justice. It's like, hey, I'm back here. Show people, show. So here we are. This thing looks fantastic. Daryl does amazing things with wood. Back to it. Now, you might be thinking, well, I mean, bro, I'm kind of in need of a little bit more distortion than this. This has 3 different amps. Now, I'm going to explain it very briefly to you that this particular amp is actually modeled from a real amp. This one is modeled from the Marshall Lead. Is it the Lead 12? I think it's called the Marshall Lead 12. It's a really small little thing that's meant to sit on those novelty size Marshall 1-speaker cabinets. And it was Audiority's first rip at an amp sim, and they chose something very low risk. And this thing sounded awesome. Now, when you switch to the clean and the metal, you're not getting anything that's we're into that Franken amp thing we were talking about before. Essentially, these two aren't based on any real amp. This is a different type of modeling, so it's a bit of a different sound. Okay, so we go to clean. You're able to get the clean tones that you're after. Okay. So there's the clean, and then we go over to metal. And this one is a bit more, a bit less subtle. That's a bit loud, so we're going to wheel this back. So these are the things that you can do with this all by itself. You don't have to add anything. You can just be content with you, your guitar, and the L12X here all by yourselves. And just sit there for a bit and enjoy the fact that you're playing guitar digitally and sounds good without any learning curve. This doesn't require any learning curve. You simply go to the website. You download the plugin. You have to open an account. Start an account at every developer you can find and get on their mailing lists. We're going to get to that in just a second, actually. I always said it really bothers me when I see people recommending plugins for people's first plugin, for example. Like I've seen it in the past. Like I'm looking to get into plugins. What should I get? And then you see people throwing out some of these incredibly complex options simply because it's their favorite. That is incredibly dangerous, because if you give somebody the wrong product to get started with, and if it's incredibly complex or complex at all, they are simply going to it's going to scare them away. They're not going to want to use amp sims anymore. You know what I mean? Think of your first experience with anything, even some of the things you might enjoy, but you had a first couple of really bad experiences with that particular, activity or hobby. Now, did it take you a while to go back? You know what I mean? If it was really frustrating and negative? Nah, it took me a while to go back for sure. Amp sims at first, for me, I really wanted to try these pull-in/late poo amp sims that my friends were all talking about. I needed to find out, what are they all talking about right now? Went out and got everything I needed to get these kind of going. And they sounded fantastic, but it took me a while to figure it out. I had to figure it out, okay? And you will too, but I just got through a little bit of the maybe uncomfortable learning curve. I don't know where I am kind of feeling. And if you got through it, the first couple, it might take you a bit. But first, like I said, install the L12X, fire it up, get playing. You might be thinking, do I need, it'll ask you, okay, do I need VST or VST3? That's something that you as with your machine and you as a user will have to go and research VST versus VST3. I usually use everything VST3. You might be different. Some people are different. Go look up the differences between the two and figure out which version is for you. Do not install both versions, okay? A lot of people that when they install a new plugin, they just hit all install. Don't do that. Most of them now give you a custom. You will not need, what is the Pro Tools format again? AXX or AAX? It'll ask you to install that. You don't want that. That's for Pro Tools. Unless you're using Pro Tools, you don't want that. If you're using Pro Tools, you won't want VST3 or VST, I don't think. I'm not a Pro Tools expert. I don't know. But nonetheless, if you're installing, just install one of the versions. Otherwise, they will all pop up. And you'll be wondering, what have I done here? Why am I seeing 2 of everything that I just installed or 3 of everything I just installed? That'd be why. Okay? So we're going to go back to the standard amp for a second here, and I'm going to open up my entire signal chain. And we're going to get into the next step. Okay, what we got here? I just want to make sure. A gold guitar luthier told me if you go high output 12.6 to 13.8. Yeah, that sounds like a solid area to be in. When it comes to pickups, guys, you're going to need, I'm not here to teach you all about every pickup out there, but we do have a lot of information. And we have done several videos, several pieces of content on pickups in the past. So if you have questions about pickups, maybe I should do another importance of pickups video. Maybe I'll do that, and maybe people will watch that as well. Hopefully this royalty-free music thing pops up, and maybe we'll get the odd view and see the odd piece of royalty from YouTube. I don't know. Maybe. I was originally going to make this some of my pre-recorded content. And I thought to myself, that's a really long piece of pre-recorded content. And it's a lot more fun when friends are here. So we're going to be here for at least, it's going to be a while yet, guys. We've got a lot more to go through. I've got to get out of here in about 1 hour. I have to go have dinner with my family, and then I'm considering coming back later tonight to maybe do something else. Tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this, of course, tomorrow, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Tomorrow's Fun Friday. And guys, I have a good one cooked up for you. Okay, if you're watching this after the fact, you'll be able to just go and search this in our videos. But tomorrow, we are doing an Aussie mega stream. It's going to be unbelievable. We are going over all things Black. We are going to go over some of Black Sabbath. And then we're going to go over, Tony Iommi's gear. And then we're going to go over the gear and the sound of every guitar player Ozzy has ever had. Complete with Equip Board. We're going to go through it. We're going to be here for a good 3 hours. And I'm giving away a massive bundle. A massive bundle from Nembrini Audio. They are sponsoring the stream. I will not only be using Nembrini Audio plugins, but they're going to be sponsoring the stream. And we are going to be, they're going to be giving away a giant bundle of stuff that is going to give you the tones of Ozzy, if you will. We're going to try to get you there with some fun products from Nembrini Audio. I'm stoked about that. That's super fun for me. I'm very excited. How about you guys? Are you excited for something like that? Man, I'm excited. The farewell show the other night, guys, as we like to talk about, guys, if you're just new to our stream, I was trying not to go on too many offshoots today, keep it all really on point, but it does happen from time to time. It's going to give you guys a good vibe of what we do here. We like to have offshoot conversations. And I've got a bit of a squirrel brain, so I like to take a break from the base topic sometimes. So I was watching that Aussie farewell, and man, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but get I couldn't help but get like emotional. And I used to get like emotional when I would see Ozzy on stage and he's barely like hanging on. Like he's just like, even this was 15 years ago, the guy could barely move around on stage. But I'm just be like, geez, man, that's hard. But he still managed to do it. So you're like, man, he's good. But then, man, on the other day, you could just tell that man wanted out of that chair. And he couldn't do it, man. That is super sad for me. But it was one of the single greatest days of music I have ever watched. Just the celebration of it. So if you haven't gotten the chance, it's all over the place on YouTube. You can watch clips of everything. We bought it and watched it, but you can watch it all right now all over YouTube and stuff. It's terrific. All right, go back to it. What are we talking about now? We're talking about starting free. Starting free is important. And start free. Yeah. And start easy. I'm making my chicken scratch notes. Start easy, start free, but don't get too crazy, okay? Now, I caution buying easy plugins. Every single solitary person I know, that bought Toontrack's famous Easy Drummer upgraded to Superior Drummer within a year after spending, a good portion on, because it's just better. It crushes the Easy line, and it's not that much more difficult to use. It is more expensive, but the quality you're going to get is insane. So beware of buying, we're going to get into this eventually as well, but beware of gateway beginner geared products, because you will grow out of them fast. They are designed to take money away from you and have you not really get a whole lot out of it long term. Okay. Easy Drummer is very easy, very handy for like a traveling rig. There are a number of reasons I do like Easy Drummer, but I think that Superior Drummer, if you can afford the upgrade to it, provides, for the difference in price is like this, and the difference in quality between Easy Drummer and Superior Drummer is like this. Okay? So you be the judge. I like those kind of deals where you're like, well, all I have to do is give you this much more and I get that much more product. Hell yeah, brother. Oh, I swore. Darn it. Yeah. All right. I see a little camera problems. The video stopped as glitches. Really? Hey guys, the audio already sounds awesome. I owned the combo at one point. Nice. Of course you did, Nils. Billy Gibbons used it on some 80s albums, among others. Nice. Pickup's nice and easy. Sweet spot. Nazgul. Nazgul can be a bit on the picky side for some people, but I agree. I like it. I think it sounds crushing. The new Nazgul rails. I'm really excited because this guitar might be getting new pickups. These pickups sound phenomenal from Aurora Tone. I love them very much, but I'm just that type of person. I want to explore a little bit. Okay? I might explore a little bit when it comes to some things on this guitar. All right, so what we're going to do here now is we're going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to turn this cabinet off. We're going to get outside the box. Outside the box! And that's one thing that is also extraordinarily common with newer users and even users that claim to be experienced users. There's a lot of users in the amp sim industry right now that do not want to leave their box. They don't want to work outside the box. Everything must be inside the box. And you'll find out what that means in just a second when we show you guys what a suite style plugin looks like. There are a bunch of different plugins. I'm going to show you guys that real quick before we move along with the tones, okay? Now, we have a freebie single amp like this. There's no other panels to it. There's actually 3 amps technically, but this we're going to call a single amp, although it does have a little bit more under the hood. We also have free, the Nimbrini Audio Crunk. This is also a single amp. It's got the cabinet built in. There are no panels at all for this. It is, here's what you get. Very, very, very simple. And we're going to build a tone with that possibly a little bit later as well. Now, we're moving to a suite style. This one's not free. This one here is free. This one is not. We're going to go just to show you what suite style looks like. We're going to go to the Aurora DSP Mr. Hector. This is the Mr. Hector V2, and I'm going to show you guys what suite style means. That means there's multiple panels to this, and it is a suite, meaning there is a number of things built in with the amps. You don't just get the amps, you get the amps and the pedals and this and that and the other freaking thing. You get all the things. Okay? Now, first panel, off in the pedals. Okay? Next panel's off in the amps. In this case, they've given you 2 amps that are switchable. Oftentimes, there are little abilities to switch between amps. Depending on the developer, they give you different ways. Cabinets. In this case, there are 6 cabinets. In this case, we have, ooh la la, we have a 3D cabinet section. And that is essentially what that means is you can move the mics around as much as you'd like, in and out and back and forth. You have the control of where exactly the mics reside. So if you know things about where mics are supposed to be placed on a cabinet, you might have a leg up on this. But there are a lot of people in the amp sim industry, in the amp sim demographic, that some reason they demand these sections, but I don't know how much experience there actually is with physically putting a mic on a cabinet. Doesn't matter though, because all of these plugins, suite style, if you're like, I don't know how to do that, why do I need that? Well, it does give you a lot of options for, tone shaping. However, if you don't know how to do that kind of stuff, guess what? The people who made the plugin and the people surrounding them, they know what they're doing. So you go in here and you go into factory, and most of the time there's a ton of presets and ways to show you around the plugin that go from various different genres. Some are from artists. In this case, they're from me. So these are some of the plugins, presets that I made that will show any user, beginner or not, how to get around inside this plugin. So whether you know how to use this stuff or not, you're still going to be able to figure some of it out with just the presets. But do not ever become reliant on presets. Say it with me one more time, guys. Do not ever become reliant on presets. Don't be those people. I've seen people that literally bought plugins or referred people to buy something because the presets were awesome. You know what? The presets are a good starting point. Great starting point. But guys, you got to work outside the box a little bit, and that's inside the box, but you still got to work around a little bit. Yes, this is a preset that sounds good. Okay, that sounds great. I mean, I'm enjoying this. Okay, so what do I want to do now? Well, I'm going to play around with some of the things in here and just see how it, just a little bit at a time, little pinches at a time, and see how they impact your tone. Maybe, oh, well, this sounds a little better because it's just better for your ears, your style, your for your needs, your level of playing, your guitar, your pickups, whatever it is, it's better for you. Then I always suggest flip the switches, play around a little bit. And if you get lost, you can always find your way back by just clicking that preset all over again. No problem. Okay. Hang on, just making sure here. The Aussie rig rundown is pretty simple. No, I'm not saying the rigs are crazy. We're just going to have some fun talking about Aussie and talking about the various guitar players and the albums and the gear they used. It's going to be fun, man. Rudy, I know you're going to want to be there for this one. I got the free Deviant drums. Okay, well, there's out there. When it comes to free drum software, we're not even going to scratch that surface just yet. I'm merely bringing up drum software as a base. Okay, that is kind of in the extended amp sim universe, and you will likely encounter drum software you're going to have to. If you want to start recording your own stuff, you might have to get some drum software. Yeah, and there's lots and lots and lots of it out there. And I'm not here to show you how to use drum software, though. Unfortunately, we are not the drum software universe. We are the amp sim universe. So there, but you know what? TuneTrack has about 3 billion videos that are free right up here in the search bar that'll teach you how to use everything they make to within a fraction of a millimeter in as far as like skill and detail goes. They are very good at that. Most companies these days, if they're smart, are putting out walkthroughs and tutorials and things of that sort with their products. And they're making that stuff work and they're helping people out. But for the companies that don't, I mean, it's your choice whether to trust that company or not. Okay. I'm just going through things a little bit. Also, yeah, we're showing you guys through the different styles. Okay, the next we have cabinets. We have this section here that oftentimes developers will put other things that help your signal chain into plugins. In this case, they've put all kinds of stuff in here. If you don't know how to use this stuff, you don't have to touch it. No problem. Just go, keep moving. Here's an EQ. You think to yourself, that's a blank space, dude. It's not a blank space right now. It is. As soon as I start playing guitar, I'm not running anything through it. That's right. I forgot. Whoops. And so that's more of a lead sound. We're going to get into what's doing that. Well, inside a lot of guitar suites, they have the last panel. And the last panel is usually dedicated to things like reverb and delay, chorus, tremolo, and other things like you see in front of you here. So this is going to be your average suite style UI, your user interface. Your average suite style plugin is going to be very similar to this layout, where it's going to give you little icons on the bottom that represent the various panels and where you can access the different gear. Okay. Now we're going to move along. To what I like to call the mega suite or the full suite, whatever you like to call it. It's something like Amplitude. Now, Amplitude is a very, very popular gateway plugin, and one of the ones that I would say is actually worth getting to get into. It didn't used to be. A lot of people were separated from their hard-earned money by Amplitude, previous Amplitude versions in the past, and this is the first one that really sounds. They completely overhauled something in it to where now I'm actually happy to tell people, yeah, you know what? Go try that out. Go and try out Amplitude again, because even if you have an old version and this somehow gets you that cross grade, go and try this new version. Because now what makes this a mega suite? Well, we just talked to you about that multi-amp suite, multi-amps inside that, inside the suite style plugin. This is what we call a mega suite or a full suite, because they include so much gear. You look in this down here to the right, and it shows you just the amps that we're looking at. Look how many amps you have inside this plugin. It's astonishing. And you might be thinking, wow, why wouldn't you just buy one of those? And why would you ever need another plugin? Good point. This does have a lot of gear, and you might be thinking that, but you're always going to want more plugins anyway. Also, I would say that some of the stuff inside Amplitude is maybe ready for the pasture. You don't have to be a beginner or an experienced user to know what that means. Off to the pasture means it's probably ready for retirement. The stuff they're bringing from past versions, which is also something you'll see from time to time. We're also going to talk about inside stuff like this. And there's one company that I'm going to suggest that everybody stay away from, and that is Positive Grid. Now, Positive Grid has been making a lot of money over the years on beginners and taking a full advantage of the fact that many beginners don't have very high expectations. And I think you should. I think beginners should have high expectations, because if you want your first amp sims to sound good, and you don't need to go and buy the top of the heap, there are many free amp sims available from lots of paid companies. We're going to go over in a second maybe why they're free. Why is someone making a piece of freeware? But in this particular case, this particular plugin has a ton of gear in it, and so does Positive Grid's popular bias effects too. Now, the difference is there's a thing we like to call empty shell syndrome. Now, what some companies do, and I'm not saying many of them anymore, but there are companies out there that will show you a graphic and say, hey, I don't have that pedal. It's back there now. Dang. Hey, here's a pedal. And it's got the graphic like a pedal that we're saying it is. It's modeled from pedal X. It looks just like pedal X. And we're putting it in our plugin. We're really excited to give you pedal X. We worked really hard on pedal X. And you're thinking to yourself, pedal X? Wow, I want pedal X. I want to try it. And so you go and you try pedal X and you're like, oh, okay. But do you know what the original pedal X sounds like or not? Because I get the feeling that some of these companies are taking full advantage of the fact that the people using their plugin may not actually know what these things are supposed to sound like, to where they can say this doesn't sound very good, or this does or does not. So we call it an empty shell. What you will not get is an empty shell right here in Amplitude. And if you're really wanting our pick for the best, if you're really interested in this style of plugin that's got a million, like this is the full collection. All these license names, something else we're going to get into, but look at all these pedals. Look at all these pedals. Look at all these amps. Look at all of these cabinets. Why wouldn't you? Well, look at all these cabinets. Why wouldn't you want this? Generally, these are not going to be quite up to the level of quality as something like a single or a second or a double or a triple amp sim. Something like this that's dedicated, and all the development and the resources and everything has been dedicated to those one or two amps. Sometimes something like Amplitude, they'll give you roughly, it's not going to be a one-to-one replica, but it's going to be pretty close. And these are fantastic. If you want our personal opinion as for the very best full/mega suite, I would say that STL's Amp Hub is going to be your bag. It's a subscription service, but you can buy outright. But this has a ton of gear, and it is all very realistic sounding, very close to that one-to-one replica. So again, we're getting a little off topic, but trying to show you guys what the different styles of amp sims are. If something like this appeals to you, I would suggest going for IK Multimedia's Amplitude, or going with something like Line 6's Helix Native. Those are two very good options. Someone in the comments might have another one. Overloud's THU, another fantastic option. There's a lot of options for the full and mega suites, and some of them are really good and some of them are not so good. One company I just like to make sure doesn't get your hard-earned money is Positive Grid. Definitely not the highest price, not the highest quality software out there. But you will find a lot of advertising, and that's something we want to make sure that you guys don't always just buy into the advertising. Okay, guys, the advertising is not always going to be key. We know of a lot of developers that don't even really advertise a whole lot, but they still make some really truthfully amazing sounding stuff. So you don't always have to go And by the way, this channel is dedicated to helping you find all of the companies from the top of the heap with the top marketing budgets to, like I said, the hidden gems with really great quality that just don't do a lot of advertising that you might not hear about unless you're really involved or immersed into the industry. I'm loving the Bogren drums too. Yeah, but those Bogren drums do sound pretty sick. Talking about Ozzy sitting in his chair. I know nothing about amps. I don't know anything about amps either, buddy. The GGD again. Get good drums. That's another good one for learning. For rather digital drums, virtual drum instruments, but those do take a little bit. I find that the GGD kits do take a little bit more know-how and the routing and some other things you might have to do. That's up to you though. Okay. Plus you're using Contact, which a lot of people get frustrated with. So I'm not here to just tell you about drum software. You're going to make your own. We will tell you about drum software during episodes, but I'm super biased, admittedly very biased towards TuneTrack's Superior Drummer because I've been using it for so many years and it's never done me wrong. All right, so now we're getting a little curious here. We've been sitting with this for like say 2 or 3 days and we're playing with it and we want to start getting a little saucy, start building a signal chain. All right, you see all these things on the left. Again, I should have cleaned this out, but really they all kind of sort of need to be there to get my point. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stepping on pedals. Imagine this is my left to right signal chain, top to bottom. I'm going to start stepping on pedals because I want the sound to rock a little bit more. I also, hey, the cab that's included, thank you very much, but I kind of want to try a different cabinet if I can. So I'm going to go to something called an impulse response loader. Okay, now you go in here. Now this is an impulse response loader, meaning you're going to find a digital cabinet and you're going to place it and you're going to load it rather into this thing, this guy right here. And you can go get this for free. This is STL Tones Nadir, as you can see here. You can get this for free, 100%. 100% for free. You can get it with the Ignite Emissary. This is an amp, a free amp sim, and a free cabinet, a free IR loader here as well. Okay? This is free. You get them together. You don't have to use them together if you don't want to, although I would suggest at least trying them together because the Emissary does still rip. But this is my favorite IR loader. It's free, it's easy, and it's there. Okay, so I'm going to load an Angle 412, and we're going to see how that sounds. That sounds pretty good. Okay, we can try a few different ones. Let's try this one. Let's try this one here. Okay, we've got so many different files. At this point, almost every cabinet you can imagine, with every speaker you can imagine, and probably about 100 other or 1,000 other cabinets that you can't imagine, all of them have been shot by an impulse response developer or just somebody at home that wanted to make some impulse responses. Not all of them are good, okay? There is a talent to making these, and making bad ones makes for bad sounding files, okay? You can make a good cabinet, like you can download a pack that says, that's based on a cabinet or shot on a cabinet you yourself really enjoy in its analog form, in its physical form. You're like, I love that cabinet. You could download a volume of impulse responses that were shot with that cabinet and hate it because they're not shot very well. They might sound like garbage. There are a lot of them out there, a lot of bad IRs out there, folks. But that being said, if you trust companies like Dr. Bonkers, Ownhammer, York Audio, Valhalla, and essentially the upper echelon of impulse response developers, nothing you buy will suck. All of it, everything you buy will be rad. Also, there's Tone. Oh, we got to do it, guys. Even though this is like a stream for newbies, we can go to the website called Tone 3000. There's a site called Tone 3000. You can go there and download lots and lots of amateur-made impulse responses. When I say amateur-made, there are a lot of people making amateur files that sound just as good as the professional ones. One is our own very incredible IR expert himself, Eddie Shar. You can find him. Someone type out Sharface in the chat, please. You can find him on Tone 3000. Grab his impulse responses. And when you're going through libraries, though, things could get a little bit confusing. I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick. Okay? Going to get out. I'm going to go to my favorite impulse response. I'm going to go to Dr. Bonkers here. And I'm going to go to my very favorite pack of all time, the E141. And here we have choice mixes, hype reel mixes, single mic files. Now, what does that mean? That means that in one case, someone has taken a single mic, put it on a speaker, and shot the impulse response. And it's your choice to either use that single file as it is, or as you can see, there are two windows here in Nadir, and you can load something from the very same library. You don't want to go and load any two impulse responses you want. You might run into what we call phasing issues. So if inside the same library, though, you can add any two files that you want and then use balance here to go between them. Most will have a blend or a balance control that you can go between the two and make your own blends. So in this case, I want to go and blend my own. I'm going to go, and then again, you have to know your mics though. Okay, folks, you definitely got to know your mics. If you don't know your microphones, you're going to be having less of a good time. Okay, so right there, I am going to go and I'm going to load up a secondary file with a secondary mic, a different file with a different position, a different mic. You don't want to use the same one. Okay, whoops. Okay, now I'm going to go here and I'm just going to go grab a 421 file and we're going to blend it. All right, so here we go. This is one side. And then I'm going to go all the way. Here's blended. And this is all the way on the 421. So we can make our own blend or we can trust the professionals. Okay, I'm going to wheel it over here. We can trust the professionals. You notice that file on the way in, hype reel mixes. Well, most impulse response developers will provide you with their own in-house blends and mixes where they've taken their favorite files from their favorite mics and they've blended them together using, some other means. There are several ways that you can do it. You can do it in the shooting of the impulse response somehow. You can also do it after the fact in something. There are many different plugins you can buy where you can blend your own IRs and then hit the button and it creates a whole new one that you can use. I've got several of them that I've made with a plugin called STL Ignite Libra. That is more intermediate to advanced, but we'll get there eventually, folks. Okay? Now, in the hype reel mixes, now I'm like, okay, now I know exactly what I want. I want to go to my very favorite mix. That's that one right there. Now with the tone, let's see what we got. That's sounding a little bit more muscular, but we're still a little bit dad rock here. I can't meddle with this, can I? You can, but why don't we get a little bit crazier? Why don't we need a tube screamer, right? If you're out there, he's like, man, he needs a boost. There's somebody watching this that, man, he needs a boost. We all like boost pedals, and I've got a ton of them set up here for stream uses mostly, but we're going to show you guys one right now. This is free. This is called the Unified Preamplifier from Aurora DSP. This is based on an old TC Electronics unit. This is free. You can go get this for $0, 0 cents, and just take it and put it out in front like this. So imagine all these plugins are not here, and you're just seeing the ones with the check marks, okay? Or imagine I've got this in my pedal, on my pedal board, and I'm just turning it on. Pow. Okay? So now we go from this to this pretty quick. Now that's sounding way more metal, I think. How about you guys? Still chimey, still got that sheen to it. Wonderful. Wonderful. Isn't that nice? It's still, we've still got some distortion, but you're like, man, maybe it's still a little bit. What I want is a boost. Well, there are plenty of free boosts on the market right now, tons of them. One of them we'll go and get is the Nambrini Audio 808. This is free. You can go get a lot of different freeware at Nambrini Audio. And we're going to go over very quickly why companies do freeware. Well, why? Because it draws people to their brand. Okay? That's one main reason why, if it's a bigger company, it draws new people to their brand. It also provides something free to existing customers to say thank you. And if it's a smaller company, sometimes they do things for free to kind of show it off and say, hey, we've arrived. Check us out. This is us. This is our thing here. We're brand new. Hi, guys. Here's a freebie. It's like handing out like those little testers at a grocery store. And if you like it, you're going to buy it and maybe buy something else that they're selling. Okay? So we're going to use this here. Again, we're going to go without. And then we're going to go Tube Screamer. Tube Screamer. There's also a very easy, I would say it's made for everyone, but beginner-friendly 2-point. There's a series called the Amp Knob series that has one knob. This is the plugin series right here, one of the many. And they've got 5150, 6505, 5153, rectifier, a bunch of Marshalls, some other stuff going on. There's a whole Trivium setup that you can go and check out as well. They recently did like a full pack of Trivium stuff. So this is 100% not free. This is 100% easy to use though. Very easy and beginner appropriate. And these are really, really great. A lot of people really enjoy these, but eventually I know that some people outgrow it because with some amps, like for example, this amp or one of the other Marshalls, it has me really, really hankering for can I see the presence knob for just 1 second and I could just put it where I want it and then we can go back to the one knob, dude? No, we can't do it that way. It doesn't work that way, guy. Can't do it. Pardon me, dry throat. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, please do view the live chat because we do have staffers here and other subscribers that are sharing some stuff with us and having a good time. And I've got about another half an hour before I've got to get my rear end into a vehicle for a family dinner. But for those of you that want a volume 2, just email me, theampsimuniverse@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to do a more intermediate version. I'm not sure what it would look like because most of our streams are kind of catered to intermediate to advanced users. Intermediate to experienced, we'll even say. But if you're watching one of our other streams live, chime in and say, hey guys, beginner here. Just wondering if I could get you to elaborate on this or this. You are not bothering us. Okay? I promise you, I will answer your questions in detail, or one of the staffers that are always just kind of chilling and lurking in the chat, one of us will absolutely get to your question. And if you have a question and you're even too embarrassed to ask the question in a live setting, no problem. Even if you're too embarrassed, you don't want to put it in the comments, no problem. No problem at all. theampsimuniverse@gmail.com. Get to me. If you're having a big problem, the least I can do is point you in the right direction unless I can give you some good advice myself. Okay, guys? So this is one of those easier amp sims, and I would suggest that the Bogren one knob series, I would suggest it to anybody because there's a high level of quality. It's easy to use, so you're immediately going to be kind of taken aback by how easy it is to use. Let's check this out. And these are very easy, super easy to use. The cab right here gives you modern cab, vintage cab, load your own IR, and a lot of plugins give you the option to load your own impulse response. It's your choice whether you want to simply hit no cab and use your own impulse response loader, as I tend to prefer to do, And you might be asking why? Why, if they're including it, why not use what they're including? Well, I'll show you why. If you go to load IR here, you can load essentially one file at a time with no preview back and forth or anything else. So you're essentially kind of stuck with the one with just the one thing. Okay, so I'm going to go down and kind of show you guys that real quick here. And oh, I went to the wrong one. We'll go to the favorites and load this up. See, and there's no way. Oh, there is too. There's a back and forth, and there's a. Sorry, my bad. This one does have it. So this is handy that you can go back and forth. Okay, back, forth, do. No problem. But it lacks that the being able to just fully navigate files, I think. So for me, sometimes I'll use them when I'm doing a demo or something like that, but oftentimes for workflow and just being quicker, you might get used to using your own, in which case you're just going to go to the IR, hit the no cab, it's gone, and then I just fire up my own, and we're off to the races. You might be thinking, what does it sound again when, what does it sound like when there's no IR? We've been through this before, but we're going to go over it again real quick. What does it sound like when there's no impulse response? This is what it sounds like, and it's terrible. I know people that have given up on amp sims because they couldn't figure out impulse responses and thought this was the tone. I mean, maybe for like I don't even know where that would fly. It's shrill. It's horrible. But you don't really get to hear that in reality. We never get to hear that, because when do you ever get to hear an amp that doesn't have a speaker attached to it? You don't. But in plugin land, you can. So in this case, we're going to make sure that our impulse response loader is on, and then there's a different side of this called the dreaded double IR tunnel. If you accidentally, and you will at some point, end up with two IRs in succession, essentially it's like you're recording a speaker and mic through another speaker and a mic. It's very interesting. So we're going to hear what it sounds like without and with. So here's without the double tunnel IR. Here's no IR whatsoever. That's not good. I don't like that at all. And then we have the dreaded IR. Here's with the IR again. And then here's the dreaded IR tunnel. Things get really woompy. And it sounds like you're in a tunnel almost. And if you're listening to it with headphones, you'll almost feel like this weird kind of pressure to it. It's very easy in some cases to hear it. In this case, it's a little bit more subtle, but still very evident. We're using... I know somebody that recorded a whole album, a whole demo EP rather. There's like 5 or 6 songs. He recorded the whole thing. And I said, dude, can you take me a picture of your signal chain? Can you open up that project? And sure enough, he had IRs going through an IR. And the tone, as soon as he fixed it, he was like, man, I can't thank you. I could not figure out why it would sound like. I couldn't get it to sound any better. And then, so there's with 2 IRs and again without. Okay, and we're almost done here, guys. We got about another 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. So what, again, we talked about false marketing and paid positive reviews. You got to watch out for these, because these are specifically designed to take your money out of your pocket and provide you with probably something you're not going to be overly happy with. Paid positive is when, and it happens in every industry across the universe, everywhere in retail, anyone selling anything has paid someone to say they liked their product. But what I'm talking about is never really buy into that stuff. Okay. Never buy into that fully and say, well, this person actually uses this piece of gear. Sometimes we run into situations. Wow. We're looking for metal here, folks. Sometimes you run into situations where an influencer won't really like something, but still does the demo because they gotta pay the rent, man. I understand it completely. However, that being said, I mean, the customer isn't always winning in that situation. So just be careful. And how can you possibly be careful? Well, with Amp Sims, man, they give you these really, really nifty things called free, unrestricted trials. Most companies these days are offering 7 to 14 days, or in some cases less. Some cases, actually, it's like 2 or 3 days I've seen. But several companies, most companies, except for a handful, are offering you, the user, and all users, the opportunity to try their software. When I say unrestricted, I mean, in some cases, you're going to get a free trial, and there's like some static in it or some like a beep or something, just so you can't go and record with it and keep it forever without paying for it. Whereas with these other ones, these new ones are designed so that they are timed, which means they just run out after 7 to 14 days, or I've seen it as long as 30 days actually, where there's no beeps, no static, no nothing. You can mix with them and record with them and whatever you want to do for 14 days. So there really is no risk. You'll see a video of your favorite content creator pumping the tires on a particular product that they say they believe in. Well, that's no problem. Whether they believe in it or not, there's usually a free way for you to find out whether or not you believe in it. Okay? So never ever buy anything full price without trying the free trial first. They do exist. Almost every company has them. And if they don't, they'll have the ones with the beeps or the clicks, which to me are limiting, yes, but they still give you a good idea of how the particular plugin feels. And when I say feels, I mean, if you're a guitar player and you're playing through an amp, you know what I mean by feels. How it responds, how it plays, and everything else. You just can't record with it. And how you won't really know how it sits in a mix. However, with the unrestricted free trials, and if you're dabbling into recording for yourself, it's really easy to find out how that sits in a mix, which for some of us is very important as to whether we buy something or not. Can I record with it? Can I create with it? If I can't, and it only sounds good for I'm just sitting here playing, if it doesn't sound good when I bring all the other instruments in, I don't really want it. I'll be honest with you. I don't really want it, and I wouldn't even try to sell it to you guys. So for me, one of the things that I have to have about a particular amp sim is I always try them out in a mix and see whether or not they sit in a mix nicely and play nicely with the other things. And in this case, for this particular plugin I'm looking at, and every plugin I've shown you today, all of them are plugins that we as a team here very much believe in, but they're all of these are only meant as examples. There's so much out there for you that we have to show you. And through 140 previous episodes on this channel, boy, oh boy, have we gone over just about every nook and cranny and corner that you can find in this industry for everything that sounds good. We're always on the hunt for stuff that sounds good, and we're always looking to kind of try to steer you away from stuff that we don't really believe in as a team. Okay, we're going to keep going today. We're almost done today. If anybody does have any questions while we're in stream, I really appreciate it. I'm just going to go through here. Mastodon played Supernaut. Pedro, did you? We didn't actually catch Mastodon. I think we somehow missed them. The only band that we missed. Yeah, Positive Grid. Stay away from it, people. We're going to go over the companies that do deserve your money real quick. Neural DSP. There's a good one. You're going to hear that name when you get in. If you want to jump on that boat immediately and get into their stuff, start paying right away, you can. But we're going to get to my point, and what you probably should do instead is shop sales. How do you know when the sales are? Find your favorite developers, get on their social media, and more importantly, I know this is old school. Guys, I'm going to tell you a story. Back in the old days of the internet, we used to use these things called mailing lists. Guys, get on the mailing list because they give you free plugins They invite you to beta testings. They do all, and you know what a beta testing is? That means you get to try it before it comes out. Not every developer does that, but you'll get these weird little invites. You'll get free money. Free money. Plugin Alliance. If you get on the Plugin Alliance mailing list, they'll give you a bunch of free plugins and then send you a voucher towards buying something else that you want. You'll also find out, this is the most important thing, you'll find out when the sales are. Make a wish list. Never pay full price. Never, ever pay full price for a plugin, guys, or an IR library, because sales are everywhere. You don't have to pay a full price. If it's a developer you really believe in and you think that they really knocked it out of the park, full price is totally great. But that being said, we're all on a budget. It's 2025, depending on when you're watching this video. I don't think things are going to change next year or the year after. So even if you're watching this 5 years from right now, we're all on a budget. The majority of the world, we're all on a budget. So to make a budget work while still being able to sample and dabble and own all the plugins and IR libraries and pedal plugins and drum software that you are going to end up wanting, I'm telling you right now, you're going to need to keep your head on a swivel for those sales. They will come fast. They will come furiously, and there will be many. And I'm telling you right now, some developers have a lot more sales than others. Some have far fewer, but they all have sales. And the prices always go down from the and there's also intro pricing. A lot of developers, when they release a product, they do it for 50% off, 70% off at times on the intro pricing to just get in there and hammer on it. That's awesome. I love being a part of this industry because of how much fun it is and how much quality, and the competition is incredible these days. There are also some companies out there, guys, that are designed for fast cash. Fast cash, very quick made plugins that are not really meant to hold up. They're just meant for you to buy it, and whether you're happy or not with the plugin, they don't care. Most of the time, you're not getting your money back if you don't like a plugin. So always sample, 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 sample. And if you're going to tell me right now, I found this company, they don't offer any free trials, then you don't give them your money. That is the end of that story. If they don't have some type of a free trial, a way for you to sample their software in 2025, depending on when you're watching this, but in 2025, with where we're at in the industry, if they don't have a way for you to test the free trial, you don't want it. And you want to make a note of that to that developer and say, you know what, sorry, I really wanted to try your stuff, but I wanted to buy your plugin, but I wanted to try it. And if I can't try it, I can't buy it. So you should really get free trials going. And there's nothing wrong. If something interests you, and if that developer is, sometimes it takes newer developers a while to get a reliable way to do free trials. But if they've been around for a while and you see like 10 releases or something, and they don't have free trials, guys, there's a problem and you don't want it. Okay? Top companies to note. And if you're in the comments, please do check the chat comments, because there's going to be people that are going to name some developers that I'm not naming because I'm forgetful. Neural DSP. Solid. Very, very solid company. Do not let anybody tell you that they are the is all and ends all of this industry. That is untrue, but that is something that a lot of people will say. There is a very high level of quality, but I feel at this point, and the entire team here feels, that it's no longer two companies standing above and looming over a bunch of smaller companies. Quality-wise, they are all right about this. They are all right at the top. There's a lot of companies right now, big and small, that are dishing out huge quality. We're going to try to direct you to the quality. STL Tones, another company that is fantastic, and they have amazing products. Bogren Digital, another company, fantastic products. Nimbrini Audio, fantastic company with amazing products. Loads of freeware. Softtube, SOFTUBE, not soft tube, but Softtube. Softtube, another one. You'll want to go with Plugin Alliance. That is more of a vendor, but they have lots of Brainworks and BX stuff there. Fantastic stuff. Little on some of the guitar stuff is starting to get a little long in the tooth, but the sound quality is still very much there. Whereas the modern features might not be. Okay. If you're in the chat, please name some more companies. Polychrome DSP, Audiority, Wavemind, folks, fantastic company doing great things. There are a lot of companies here that will take up. There's a lot of companies we just named. Okay, guys, tons of companies we just named that can handle pretty much anything you're looking for. When you start to dip outside of some of those companies, yes, Fuse Audio Labs, another one. Line 6, Helix Native. Yes, Line 6. If you've never heard of Line 6 and you play guitar, I question how long you've been playing the instrument, because that company has been prominently around for a very long time. Aurora DSP. I think I mentioned them already, but if I did not, Aurora DSP, please check out everything they have to offer as well. Lots of a whole bunch of freeware there. Also, lots of freeware all over the industry, and we explained why that stuff needs to exist. One thing I want to explain as well is licensed does not always mean something is better. That is that's a beginner myth, and I see it a lot with newer users. And I was once a new user that thought something similar. What licensed mean is that the particular owner and proprietor and builder of the analog gear, this is the designer, whoever it is, the company's responsible for that analog gear, has given a particular software company the license to use their name, their logo, and the actual branding of the product. Now, you're going to see in situations like in front of me right here. In fact, there's several situations and right in front of our eyes. Right here, you'll see something that's based on the JVM, although Bogren Digital calls it the BDM, or the JVH, they call it. Why do they call it the JVH? Because they don't have the licensing to do it. Does that make it illegal? No, it doesn't. Does that mean they are these parody pieces of crap? Are they lower quality plugins? No, they're not. In some cases, most of the time, the parody ones are, when I say parody names, I mean parody names. It's not a JVM, it's a JVH. But this is another case right here. Here's a good case of license. License, in this case, Aurora DSP and Laboga have worked together in making the Mr. Hector here. And in this case, they've worked out a deal, a collaboration, a deal of royalties or branding rights and whatever it be, paying for these rights or whatever it is that the companies have cooked up. But does that mean that this is the best Mr. Hector on the market today? Not necessarily. It doesn't mean that. It means that this is a licensed one that the particular builder approved of and enjoys. And in the old days of it, it wasn't even that far. When Amp Sims first started, it was, whatever. You want to put our name on what? A computer program? And you're going to pay us money for that? Yeah, sure, buddy. Whatever. Take it. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, they gave us money just to put our name on a silly computer program. Whereas these days, it's big business. It is big business now. A lot of amp companies are getting into business with software companies for a good reason, for many good reasons. Now, it used to be, well, they're stealing from us. There might be lawyers involved, and thus the parody names, again, cannot use licensed names. Okay? But now things have changed a little bit. Now these companies are like, well, if someone's going to model our stuff, why don't we get into business with somebody that's really good at this, and we can kind of control this a little bit more? Now we're talking. And now we have a lot of licensed, a lot of non-licensed stuff in the industry. Lots of licensed and non-licensed takes on almost every amp out there. And does licensed make it good or make it better? No, it doesn't. It means it's licensed. It just means that there is a deal in place. That is simply all it is. In some cases, they are better. In some cases, they're not. So really, that is something where you really have to, again, take it with a bit of grain of salt. And just know that it doesn't mean that licensed does not mean top of the heap. Okay. Kuasa. Yes. There's another company, Kuassa, another fantastic company putting out plugins, and you're going to find various price points around the market. You're going to find premium plugins for $139, $149, $169. Sometimes these are signature efforts where royalties obviously have to go so far. So there, again, you see signature. Does signature mean that that plugin is only good at sounding like that artist? No, it doesn't. If you see, for example, I don't really care much for Polyphia. I think Tim Henson is a fan-friggin-tastic guitar player, but I'm not really a big fan of their work. That being said, do I think his plugin is good? Yeah, his plugin's pretty cool. It's all right. You know what I mean? So if you see a plugin that's based on the tones of some signature artist and you don't like that artist, nobody cares. Give it a shot anyways. See if maybe that person's brain has some cool tones involved. It doesn't mean you have to go play just their riffs on it. It just means that they and that developer worked together on something really cool, and they came up with like this collaboration. And I would suggest trying everything you can get your hands on, just to see what you like for a while. But start free, start easy, okay? L12X is where you're going to start. Crunk if you want the metals. I'll show you guys exactly what the crunk sounds like real quick. This thing is a metal beast. All right, so this is what the crunk sounds like. It's a lot more metal, obviously. So this thing is super easy to ready to go. Just point me in the right direction. But I made a mistake. Does anybody notice the mistake I made? Dual IR. Or did I? My mistake. I actually already had the IR off. Oh, well, what are you going to do? All right, YouTube and more YouTube as well. Guys, YouTube and more YouTube up here. Also, we get together here in the summer months. We get together about 3-4 times a week. In the off summer months, we gather twice a week here for live streams. And if you have questions and you can't find the answers to those questions, always do your searches, though, before you ask on a forum or a Facebook group or something like that. You and I both know, don't be one of those people that just like assumes nobody has ever asked this question before. It's impossible. No one could possibly have asked this question before. Don't be that guy. Always look and see if your question has been answered, because you won't need to make a post. You don't need special attention. I know a lot of people do it because they just want that special attention, or they're lazy. Don't do that, because in some of these places, people will see that laziness and not want to answer your question. So, for example, there's a certain user group where if you ask something that has been asked before, they have a way of dealing with you, and it's not a good way, especially something that's been asked a lot. So it's not, they don't ban you or anything, but they will flame you for it. They will definitely light you up and let you know that they will spam you with links and screenshots and other things. Come on, do a search, folks. You're not any more special than the last person that went through that. You don't have to type anything. Somebody might already have. Like for me, for example, I had a problem the other day. I went on the Reaper forum, and there was like a 25 page post about it going already. Why do I need to start my own? What's the point? There's 25 pages of like scrolling through people helping this person step by step. This person has already encountered all the hiccups I might encounter. What are we doing here? Why don't I just go through it and be like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, I'm just going to skip to the last step and we're good. All set then. You know what I mean? So get yourself learning. Learn as much as you can. There's lots of freeware up here. Another good way to learn things is the URM Academy. I think it's the Unstoppable Recording Machine, as helmed by Mr. Joey Sturgis. They can teach you a lot. But as far as just using amp sims, these are not the people that you want. These are the people that you want when you want to make your own compositions and you want to start recording your own music. That's not something, unfortunately, we're here to necessarily help you with. We're here to help you how to use amp sims and pedals and other things. If you can think of anything else in the comments that you'd like to add to this before we get going, which is going to be in about 8 minutes. Nalex. I'm not suggesting Nalex to anyone, Ton. Sorry. The Nalex, I'm sorry, Ton, but where Nalex has their stuff buried and staged is really, really not user-friendly. You've got to wander your way around several pages. One of them is closed. The other one's in Cyrillic. Can these guys, can someone at Nalex, is there someone out there that can just help Nalex do a WordPress site where they can put all their stuff and it doesn't look like complete garbage? And it's not like you're trying to like find a hidden gem or like trying to find the Constitution of America, you know, like in National Treasure. It's not like you're on some sort of a hunt. That would be better. I like that. But yes, if you can get your hands on the Nalex stuff, the Nalex Nalex stuff is pretty cool for free. The Crunchman is my favorite personally. We're going to get into something another time called NAM. Now, there's the Neural Amp Modeler. This is going to be a little bit more... do I even have it still installed? I do. Okay, guys. This is the Neural Amp Modeler. Okay. Now, what this is, and I'm going to use a very crude way of explaining it, that some Neural Amp Modeler, we're not going to call them a nerd fanboy, will get mad about for certain. But essentially, the Neural Amp Modeler is like a free Kemper. If you don't know what the Kemper profiling amp is, you're probably also very new to guitar. But if you do know what that is, this is sort of kind of, if I'm explaining it in very basic layman's terms, this is sort of kind of like your own at-home Kemper, and it's free. However, this, and you can, when you want to go, by the way, if you want to get all the different, there are captures and profiles, captures is what they call these, not profiles. There's tons and tons of them on this site called Tone 3000. You remember from earlier when I did the 3000 thing. They used to be called Tone Hunt. This is not the best way, in my opinion. In our opinion, we have a shameless promo here. This is the easiest way, though. So for now, if you want to use this, it's as easy as clicking this, going in here, finding your amps, and then just finding something, a file you like, high gain pack, plumes, okay? And so I just took the capture and put it in, and now here we go. And this is free. And it's got a distortion pedal, rather a boost pedal built right into it. You don't got to do nothing. This is not the best way. This is maybe the simplest way to enjoy a NAM capture, but it's not the best, in my opinion. We're going to do this shameless plug here. We have a plugin here that we designed with Wavemind called NAM Universal, and you guys can get this plugin for $0.00 over at Wavemind. We have a gigantic visual upgrade / update coming for this, but this comes along. You don't have to go and navigate Tone 3000. This comes along with tons of different captures. The problem is it doesn't have presets at this time. Presets are coming with, I have presets here, but we could not find a way to, we had to kind of navigate through some issues with the preset system. So with the new one we're coming out with, this will have presets. But if you want to get on board now, grab NAM Universal, and then just use this to load up your NAM captures and all the other things. If you go here, you'll notice the load will take you right to the kit itself that we send with it. And you'll be able to go to the creator names and then all down here to the various amps. There's a ton of stuff that's included, and we're going to be adding even more. So you guys can go out and get that and check it out. This very easy way. If you'd like to go and get more profiles, rather captures, you can hit this Tone Hunt button right now, and it takes you to Tone 3000, and you can go and get whatever you want. You just do searches, and this thing is all free, 100% free. So again, my advice for you as a beginner user, we've learned so much today together, and we've had such a good time on this journey. And I feel like we need a hug at this point, everybody. If you've watched to the end, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. I don't think we actually missed anything. Yes, one thing. If you're going to a various developers user group, these are hype groups where a lot of very, very, very loyal users like to congregate. So again, take your information that you gain with a grain of salt. Sometimes the opinions may vary. In some of these, they're all very vehemently biased and loyal towards mostly one developer. So you kind of have to be careful in some of those hype groups as to how you kind of interact. And also you'll find, if you're looking to find information on something, go to a specific group or forum based on that. Example, in AmpSim groups, you'll often see people asking questions about the best studio monitors and the best headphones, even though they're not technically interacting with maybe necessarily experts. So you want to make sure, if you're looking for true information on any one topic, you want to try to find the real legitimate experts on the entire industry rather than just one brand. Okay. So that being said, guys, yes, my last comment, stick with it, guys. Yes, there's going to be a learning curve. And if you're an old school analog guy, I was just working with someone that's 57 years old, never touched a computer. He didn't touch a computer until he was in his late 40s. And I was working along with him. He watched a few of our streams. I was working along with him to get him started. Now he cannot take his hands off his guitar. He just wants to play all the time. He says, I'm playing until my fingers are literally bleeding because I just want to keep trying all this stuff. It's so much fun. And so that's the kind of success stories we like to hear here. So please stick with it. Yes, it's going to be a little bit tough. Yes, it's going to be tougher than just plugging in the same amp you've been plugging in for 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. And if you have any questions, if you have problems, if you're hitting that wall and that plateau of, man, I'm stressed out and I don't know what to do, we've got your back. We have your back. No problem. Just type in the comments. Email me at theamsimuniverse@gmail.com. And we'll help you through it. We've got your back, guys. And if we have to just, point you to a few, if it's something that I can just send you links to something you can follow, that's even easier. You know what I mean? Okay. Group hug, gentlemen. Indeed. Thank you guys to all the staffers and all the very experienced users that are here in the comments today that literally got not one thing out of this stream, but you're here for support and you guys are here to help with the general conversation. Because like I said, to all the beginners out there, we were all beginners once. I always hate this elitist attitude that some people have about certain activities and hobbies or anything really, because at one point we're all a beginner. And there's no way to transcend being a beginner without helping beginners and helping people that are maybe struggling, or people that you can see just need a helping hand at smoothing out some tough sailing or some tough learning curves going on. So we're here for you guys, okay? Thank you so much for being here. For everybody that's watching it in the future, we appreciate you for coming by to watch what we do here. And what we do here on this channel is we really just try to nurture the relationship between analog and digital. We also like to inform people on things that are all around the AmpSim universe. And that means everything that's connected to AmpSims, like pickups, like strings, like guitars and machine heads and clip tuners and all kinds of different things that affect and are often used and paired with AmpSims. Okay, guys? So thank you once again. Please do like and subscribe. I need to go, and you guys probably want to stop hearing my voice. I will be here tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this, of course. But I will be here tomorrow. Is Friday. I'm here every Friday, so it doesn't really matter when you're watching this because we're here every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I cannot wait for tomorrow because we're going to be spending, usually we're here for 2 hours. Tomorrow is a very special day. We're going to be here for 3+ hours starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. 3:30, not 4. So 3:30 p.m. Eastern time starting tomorrow. We're going to be here. Going to be giving away a huge bundle of Nembrini audio gear for the purpose of creating Aussie tones. Not sure exactly what's in that bundle yet, but we're figuring that out. Anyhow, guys, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Please, if you're watching this, do drop into one of our live streams, and shortly, depending on when you're watching this, we also have some pre-recorded content for you to enjoy. That stuff all drops this summer, 2025. Again, depending on when you're viewing this. I will see you guys next time. It has been a pleasure. And one last thing, again, if you're a beginner, one more time, we were all a beginner once. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.